Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It is raining outside, so hopefully you guys can hear me. Actually, it just slowed down, so that is good. I can't do much of anything outside. It's been raining all day. So this is a video that was subscriber requested. So we're going to go ahead and compare Gravely versus John Deere on a point system. I'm going to be comparing this 1969 Gravely 432 to this 1970 John Deere 112. Not exactly a fair comparison. This is a 10 horse versus a 14 horse, but it's what I have to compare. They're about the same year. They're only 1 year apart. So let's get started. First, right off the bat, I'm going to give Gravely 1 point for having dual brakes. I really like the steering brakes. John Deere doesn't have that. So right off the bat, I'm going to give the Gravely a point for that. Another thing I'm going to give the Gravely a point for is this. So if you want to adjust your height, you just pick your deck up, and then you can pick this up and pull it up, back and forth, whatever, to adjust your height for your attachment. John Deere has the height adjustment, but you have to turn it for 4 months to get it to do anything. I don't like it. I am going to have to give the John Deere a point, though, over the Gravely for hydraulic lift as an option. The Gravely never had that. On the 450, you could get an electric lift option, but I would rather manual lift than electric lift. Electric lift is kind of junky unless you're only mowing, which that is pretty much not what I'm doing ever. So, got to give the John Deere a point there. Also, I'd like to give the John Deere a point for easy accessibility for gas tank and battery. You just pop the hood open. Gravely, this hood's supposed to be bolted down. Battery goes in here. It won't fit through this hole. So you have to take the hood off to take the gas tank out or the battery out. I don't really like that. The later ones you can get to it. The older Gravely's don't have this lid, so you can't even get to the battery to disconnect it. So that's obviously not good when they get older. I'm also going to give John Deere a point for their steering. On the Gravely's, if you do not have the hood on, the dash will wiggle back and forth, bolted on of course, and the dash is what holds the steering shaft straight and keeps it aligned in the gearbox. So if you have it moving around all the time, it will wear out your gears funny, and some even wear out so far that you don't have steering whatsoever, but you'll have a lot of play. Where the Deere's is one steering gearbox and shaft all together, it doesn't have that issue. The John Deere's have the engine in the front, which I like. The Gravely's have the engine in the rear. I also like, just for different things. I'm not going to award a point to either one there. Both have their useful areas. This one will get stuck easier in mud with no bottom, but if there's a bottom, it'll get to it and get traction better and doesn't have to push as much front weight around like this. So they both have their place. I do have to give the Gravely a point, and this is supposed to be sitting right here in the frame rails. The Gravely's have a toolbox in the factory, the 400 series only. I really like that. Deere never did that. I really wish they had done something to that nature. You can put your chains, pins, clevises, whatever in the toolbox and easily access them just by opening here. See, it sits between the frame rails there. That's something I really like. I feel like both Deere and Gravely had kind of a chintzy, junky headlight setup. Both easily breakable. They both had metal grills, so can't award a point there for anything. I do like the clutch setup better on the Gravely, so I'll give a Gravely a point there. Instead of having a reverse gear back here, you push forward, you go forward, you pull back, you go back. It's really nice, and it is a true gear drive. It's got a clutch for each direction, which is nice. But I'm going to give a point to Deere because of the transmission. The transmission in these Gravely 400 series, you have 4 gears just like the John Deere, but these things are so slow, and the clutches are inside the transmission, so they're not easy to service, replace, repair, where the John Deere has 4 gears going forward still and 1 in reverse instead of 4 gears and forward and reverse. But you can get a lot better speed out of one of these. The Gravely's are really slow, so there's not much of driving to where you're working. You gotta pull them or haul them if you're going very far. The Deeres, they're fairly zippy. You can get 6-8 miles an hour out of them. The Gravely's you can only get a few miles an hour out of, so they're not meant for traveling. Also, like I said, the Gravely's have internal clutches. The John Deere has 2 belts that runs the length. The front one's the wear belt. It takes all of the clutching. So this front belt's like $30, you know. It's a 10-minute job to replace it. Super quick, super easy. The Gravely's, you got to take the whole transmission apart to get to the clutches, from what I understand. Never done it. Hopefully I never have to. But yeah, that's a bit more of a pain in the butt, so I'm definitely going to give Deere the point on that for both those, the clutches and the transmission. I'm going to give Gravely a point, though, for all the front-mounted attachments that you can get. Don't mind the cat. This is my 430. It's just a smaller version of the 432, which is what we were looking at. I have a brush hog on this one. You can buy this front adapter kit, and if you had bought a Gravely walk-behind with attachments, any walk-behind attachment will bolt right up to this, and you can run them on your rider. I have a brush hog, have a sickle bar right there. This is a 40-inch front-mounted mower deck. This one's shot, obviously, but you can get them. I also have a rotary plow over there. There's probably over 100 different attachments that you could get for these. So Gravely had it going on with all the different attachments you can get. That is really nice. I like the way they have their attachments set up and how many they have. So that's really nice. I'll be giving a point to John Deere, though, for the snowplow. I would not buy a Gravely to snowplow with unless you are on perfectly flat ground. Since they have rear engine, they have lots of traction to snowplow, but the snowplow mounts back here on these brackets on the axle. That is a Gravely snowplow. It mounts and pivots back there, so you get maybe 1.5 to 2 inches of lift off the ground before the frame of the snowplow hits the front axle of the tractor. I'll post a picture here if I can find one of my 430 last year with a snowplow. You get pretty much no lift out of it, which is obviously inconvenient and not nice. So I don't like that. That is a horrible design. Deere had, and I don't have one on this, but it mounts the same. Mounts right to the front of the frame and pivots. You have a ton of lift, ton of lower. You have way more travel. The Gravely's and the John Deere's, they're both fairly comfortable to ride on. The Gravely is more comfortable than the 200 series Deere. For some reason, the seat is jammed into the steering wheel on the 200 series. I guess they're meant for midgets. The 100 series isn't like that. I like them way better. I think it was because they jammed the gas tank under the seat and platform on the 200 series. So both the 100 series Deere and the 400 series Gravely, they're fairly comfortable to ride on. That's not the correct seat, but with this seat on it, it's real comfortable, but I can't open the thing all the way. They're both good tractors. Most of them had the Kohler K-Series engines. The 450 had an Onan. We don't like those. And you could get a 430 or a 424 with an Onan. We don't like those either. I've never seen a 432 with an Onan. They all had the 14 horse Kohler, as far as I know. As far as the engines go in the Deere, 1968 and back for the 112s were all Junkumsa. In 1969, the Kohler was an option. Forward through 71, when they did away with the Junkumsa and switched to a 12 horse versus a 10 horse Kohler. I try and get the Kohlers. They're the best engines that you can get on these garden tractors. One more thing I'd like to mention. I buy most of my tractors non-running and get them running. And these Gravely transmissions seem to have a tendency to leak when they sit for a while and then you start using them. Several of them that I have gotten running do that. The John Deeres don't seem to have a tendency to do that. I think it's because there's just more going on in the Gravely transmission. The PTO is run through the transmission on these. And on the Deeres, the transmission is just the transmission. There's nothing else going on. Not really Gravely's fault, probably. I mean, it might be. I haven't investigated it very far. But you got to watch out for that. There's not really much else that I have to complain about on either or. They're fairly easy and simple to work on. The worst part about the Gravely's is this region right here. The way they did their steering and the hood. If the hood, say, hinged right here and opened and just latched up at the front or something, that would be great, but they didn't do that. So they are a bit of a pain to work with because you have to keep the hood on it to keep the steering from wearing out and breaking. I think the Deeres were a little bit more well thought out. Deere was actually going for trying to make a riding garden tractor. Where Gravely, they said everybody else is making riding tractors. Let's take our walk behind and slap a frame on it and a seat. And that's all they did. The trans from this is literally just a walk behind Gravely with a bigger engine, bigger tires, a frame, seat. So it's not really well thought out. They kind of just slapped it together so that they had a rider for the competition. But they're okay. They're not as good a quality as a Deere. I've had a lot more breakdowns with Gravely's than I have with Deeres. And I have a lot more Deeres than I have Gravely's. But they are fun to run, besides being slow. And they're fairly useful. So let me know what you guys have down in the comments. And if you feel that I missed anything, drop a comment down below. And yeah, let me know. I do have one more beef with Gravely. For the front drive kit that I showed you that runs the front attachments, right here is a plug you take out of the axle. See, this one's taped over. You take that plug out, and that's where the drive shaft runs through. And as the axle flexes, it puts strain on the drive shaft. I really hate that. I don't like it. I will probably take a point away from Gravely for that. That was a horrible design, in my opinion. As you drive around with the front drive kit on and it flexes, you can feel and hear everything. If you're running the attachment, it's not happy. So I do not like that, but it works. I guess it's worked for years. I do think I'll give Gravely another point for the front drive kit design. I probably shouldn't because I already gave them a point for this, but I really like how simple these are to hook up. These ears here go in here. These would be up like this. You put them ears in there, flip that down, put a pin through this hole, and it can't come back out until you flip that up. Really nice design. Once that's on, well, as you put that on, there's a U-joint that goes between here and the drive shaft. You put that on, and you have a linkage you hook up, which is one pin. Super simple, quick, and easy to hook up. I really like that. They both had the same wheels for the most part. Had 16/650 fronts, and these had 23/850 rears. Some of the Deeres had 1050s, some of them had 850s. Doesn't really make a ton of difference. Both good tires. I prefer the 1050s around here because it gets muddy and they float better, but it's all in preference. So if you enjoyed that video, let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Hit the like button, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to see more videos like this and of other stuff. I have 26, I think, right now, garden tractors. Maybe more, I don't even remember. And I'm always selling some and buying more. So let me know down in the comments what you want to see. And hit the like button if you enjoyed this, like I said. And subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell doodabby that tells you that I'm making more videos. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.